Thank you very much, Alok, and thank you very much, Minister Mujawamania, colleagues and friends of climate. I'm not going to bore you with statistics, but let me just say I just came back from Cabo Verde and also Mauritania. And what I saw was heart-wrenching. In Cabo Verde, they have not had rain in 5 years. In fact, my trip there was the first time they had rain. The president said, we hope you will come more often. In Mauritania, vast area deserted because of lack of rain. Africa is suffering. Africa is choking. Africa is in serious financial distress for what it didn't cause. And therefore, there must be a greater sense of urgency, not in talking, but in doing and in delivering resources that Africa needs very, very desperately. But now we have to deliver in Sharm el-Sheikh, which is the Africa Cup. We must deliver the goods there. And if there are goods to be delivered, it's really about adaptation. That's what Africa really, we have nothing, and we only contribute, as Secretary Kerry was saying, less than 3%, but we suffer disproportionately from the negative consequences of that. Our economies have been stymied by that, and so we do desperately must have the financing for climate adaptation there. And that's why, myself, former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and thanking you, Alok, thanking you, Secretary Kerry, and also others for supporting us on the African Adaptation Acceleration Program, which is Africa's program to deliver $25 billion of financing. Yes, I'm from the AfDB, African Development Bank. We are very bold, as you know, on the issue of climate. We were supposed to do 40% of our financing to climate. We've done 41%. We're supposed to do adaptation at 50-50, adaptation mitigation. Today, we are at 67% on adaptation for Africa, just because we got to put our money where our mouths are. But as we look at this, I want to come back to something that Bill said before he left, which is he said, let's focus adaptation on the countries that are low-income countries, suffering countries. So what we've got to really do, for us in Africa is we have the African Development Fund, where we decided to open a climate action window, because these countries don't have access to climate finance, and they need $600 billion, by 2030 to be able to adapt to climate change. Today they get only, $18 billion? So it's a lot that they have to do. Therefore, the climate action window of the African Development Fund is critical. The reason why this is critical is the issue of impact. What will it do for us? If we get that, we have 20 million farmers that will have access to climate smart agricultural technologies. We've got 20 million farmers that will have access to weather index insurance to deal with some of these exogenous extreme weather patterns that we're talking about. We'll have at least 1 million hectares of land that is degraded that we will be able to regenerate. About 9.8 million people that will have access to electricity, and over 840 million meter cubes of water that we'll be able to deliver. So, and what gives me this confidence that we can do this? We during this issue of the Russian war in Ukraine, we launched a $1.5 billion facility very, very rapidly, and within 45 days we had done 24 countries. We promised $1.5 billion. We had done $1.13 billion in less than 45 days, and it will produce 38 million metric tons of food for Africa, which is more than what Africa is going to lose coming from all of the 30 million it will lose from Russia and Ukraine war. The technologies exist, the platforms exist, the programs exist. That's not the problem. What we need is finance. Unfortunately, we have megawatts of talk and zero delivery of financing. So if we can be more efficient in that, I think we'll be able to solve the problem. So I hope that we can land in Sharm el-Sheikh with the $100 billion actually monetized, and so that we can actually help the countries like ours, like Papua New Guinea, like Barbados and others that are suffering, to finally put this to rest. We can do it, but we have to determine that it has to happen. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that and everything you're doing.